honestly, it doesn't matter. Mabuhay! This is Jenny with an H. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jenny with an H. I am a second year OT student. This channel is mostly on about our journey in OT school, but it's also about life right now. My previous videos are about sewing face masks, which I still do on the weekends in order to donate to healthcare workers, essential workers, volunteers, and community members here in my city and my county. And if you want some face masks too, I am selling them to help with the materials for me to continue to create and donate to those who need them. But the video today is about frequently asked questions about OT school. I'm still a mentee. I have OT mentors out there. I follow a bunch of people on Instagram, which, by the way, I created my OT Instagram account, which is Jenny_Berry_OT. So I can focus all the OT resources and community that in one account. And so far it's really nice because I get to connect with other practitioners and students out there in the OT world, and it's a really good support system and resource to have. Anyways, today's video is inspired by a student who reached out to me because I was recommended by one of my mentors or advisors back in undergrad, and she is a first year undergrad or bachelor's in kinesiology student, and she's wondering about things about OT, and she made a list of questions, and I want to give her as much information as I can beneficial to her research. While I was looking at this list, I realized that I have been answering these same questions to other potential OT students and undergrad students who are interested in going to OT school. So I thought about making a video because I know it will benefit other people as well. If you find it helpful and informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any other additional questions, leave a comment down below, or you can always contact me on Instagram. And also feel free to share it to your families and friends who are willing to learn more about OT and grad school in general, or all the fun stuff that I've been posting on Instagram or YouTube and so on and so forth. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get more updates about our journey in OT school and all the fun stuff. Salamat! So question number one is, what made you become an OT? Originally, I wasn't gonna go for OT. I didn't even know what OT means or what it was about. My parents wanted me to become a nurse, and so I started community college and started taking classes about nursing, chemistry, physics, microbiology, and all those fun stuff. And I actually applied to 2 nursing schools, but I didn't get in. I love nurses and I salute what they're doing, and I really admire their sacrifices and what they do, but I feel like my emotional stability is not as strong. I feel like I'm gonna cry in front of my patients if I do encounter them in their like lowest time and acute setting. And so I decided to work somewhere where I can help them recover and heal and rehabilitate after they are stable. But so yeah, I was gonna go for nursing, but back then in community college, I didn't know what to do. I actually considered going for music because back then I play more my musical instruments, my guitar, piano, drums, a little bit of ukulele, and I took music classes and I loved it because I got straight A's. But I realized that it's not gonna it's not gonna bring the food on the table, and I have to think practicality. You have to network yourself out there, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do that for a long time. So I took this personality development class, and we took those assessments, determining what your calling is. And I know I wanted to do something of service, and when I was a kid I wanted to be a teacher, but then life happens, and right now medical field is in demand, and practicality is what we need to prioritize. So I know it's something about medical field and health, and I love sports and physical activity. So I heard about kinesiology from a badminton professor or instructor, and so he was telling me how to get there. It's a bachelor's degree. Why don't you go for it? So I did. Finished my AA in liberal arts in community college and went to Cal State for bachelor's in kinesiology. I went in thinking that I want to go for PT and crossing out nursing because I actually took CNA, a 3-month program, and I realized I couldn't do it. So yeah, I was gonna go for PT. Towards the end of my program, grades wise, I'm not ashamed of my GPA. I have 3.5, 3.4, 6.48 when I graduated. But competitively, you have to have at least 3.8. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You guys really have to work hard for it. It is not easy to get there, but then it's doable. You just have to be persistent and sacrifice a lot, and you know, yeah. So I was gonna go for PT, but then I talked to this professor who recommended this student to contact me, and he was like, "Are you sure you wanna go for PT? What's your backup plan?" I'm like, have you thought about OT? And I was like, back then, I don't know what OT was. And I looked it up. I know I said that I worked with OTs and PTs when I was in CNA, but then back then I thought it was just PT. I didn't know about OT. So I did my research, and it's pretty interesting. It's a really wide variety field. So after graduation, I started looking at the prerequisites. It has less prerequisites than PT. You have to do your research. I'm not gonna give you all the prerequisites for all the universities. I know what we have for California, but I don't know about outside California. But anyways, yeah. So I was gonna go for PT, but when I graduated, I decided to go for OT. It took me a long time, but yeah. That's question number 1. Why? What made me become an OT? I'm not even an OT. I'm still in OT school, but that's my direction of why I chose OT school. Second question was, what are some challenges that you have faced with this major? So the major we're talking about is kinesiology, which was my undergrad major. I don't know. I mean, like what other majors are having challenges with studying exams and stuff. My most challenge, I think the most that I struggled with was commute, because I would commute about 40 to 50 minutes one way going to school and back at night. So like, and I would work too, so I would leave at 6 a.m. and then don't come home till like 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. and then do it again the next day. But with this kinesiology major, we have a lot of options, so I guess it would be a challenge for you to pick what option you want to pick. But if you're gonna go for PT or OT, a lot of people pick exercise science, but honestly, which I did, exercise science, but honestly, it doesn't matter. You could actually just take I don't know what it's called now, but back then it was general studies or sports studies. But it doesn't matter what your major is, as long as you have straight A's. However, if you take exercise science, it will help you with the applied kinesiology and you know, some aspects that are helpful for PT in general. OT, it's a combination of everything. We didn't take as much abnormal psychology or early intervention. We had some lifespan, which is an elective for us, but you have to look at those prerequisite classes that will help you, and if your major offers those classes, that would be awesome. It doesn't really matter what major you take, but for exercise science, kinesiology, yeah. Oh, for kinesiology too, if you take that major, you'll have more advantage for physical disability settings. Less mental health, like what I mentioned earlier, and less neuro. OT tackles all of them, so you have to learn all of them. And thinking about it now, there are actually a lot of resources and opportunities for kines majors out there. You just have to know where to look and who to approach job-wise. I wanted to work in a medical field, so kines, it opens up doors to other opportunities. Anyways, those are my challenges. Third question is, what organizations do you recommend me to volunteer at? I would say hospitals and community programs, any programs that you can see OTs, occupational therapists, PTs, speech therapists, so you can differentiate the professionals and you can observe what they do and help you decide what you want to do in life. What else? State and community or county parks, clinics, YMCA. You can also work as a rehab tech at a assisted living or skilled nursing facility, wellness coordinator or OT aide or PT aide. All those jobs are awesome. And yeah, so those are the volunteer places that I recommend you to gain experience at, which I did after bachelor's degree. I had to go back to take my prereqs and gain volunteer hours from those places. Fourth question is, how's the workload in your classes for undergrad and grad school? So workload is definitely way different compared in undergrad compared to grad school. In undergrad, I could pass a class or get A's in the classes by studying a day or two before the exam. I was actually proud of my photographic memory and ability to memorize and recall up to 10 pages every time I review or for a reviewer. However, the bad side is that it doesn't stay for a long time. I could remember word per word and actually close my eyes and remember what those are or where words are on my sheet or my reviewer, but it's not going to help you in the long run. In OT school, we have this saying, not just saying, but I believe that what you invest is what you will earn. So if you do not read your materials and you don't do your work, I feel like you will have a hard time in the field. And it is not easy work. Like per week we would have at least 4 to 10 or 12 chapters, sometimes per class. But at least for this quarter we have at least 10 chapters to read per week, combined for all the classes. And then you have quizzes, you have exams, you have group projects, you have individual research papers, and so on and so forth. But then if you don't do your work and you don't learn and make the most out of your experience, and you're paying your tuition fee, grad school, everything's student loan. You don't have grants. There are scholarships, you can apply for scholarships, but we don't qualify for grants anymore. So you have to make sure you make the most out of what you pay for your tuition fee. And also in the end, when you practice in the field, your name and your license and your future is on the line. So some habits that you have in undergrad, partying and so on and so forth, you can still do that in grad school, I guess, but it's going to be harder for you to manage your time, because when you're in OT school or PT school, they don't recommend you to work because school is already work for you. I would spend at least ideal time is to go to school from 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. or at least in anatomy quarter. Those are our school times. And when I get home, I still study from like 6 p.m. to 12 or 1. And sometimes we will still stay on campus for the open labs until like 11 p.m. or even 12 a.m. one time for finals. So it's really different when you go to a grad school. So I suggest that you develop a good study habit while you're in undergrad, even in community college if you're still in community college. But the good side with that is that it's pretty cool how you're able to think on your toes and provide resources or interventions without needing to do more in-depth research, because you remember what you learned from school. So when you're practicing in the field and you're meeting patients, you'll have limited time to go back to your resources to come up with interventions. So if you remember your interventions from school, it really depends on where you specialize in. And even my professors are saying that you're not going to remember everything, but you're allowed to look up things out there. But if you have a solid foundation and you know your basics, it's easy to build up interventions out there. I know it's all OT jargon right now. I apologize. We're so used to talking jargon, but for the sake of the video, I'm gonna speak fast so I can squeeze everything in one video. But then when you're talking to your patients, you have to make sure it's in layman's terms. Fifth question is, for the interview, were you able to pick the questions that you wanted to answer, or you had to answer all the questions they give you? It's just like a normal job interview. We're talking about OT school interview. You don't get to pick your questions. If you have done interviews before, you just come in confident and knowing about what you have experiences and what you can offer, and you are faced with questions about the school, or the school will give you questions. I cannot tell you what those questions are exactly are. I know my school faculty knows about my video being online right now, and so those are the only ones I can give you right now. But then other than that, I cannot give you any other information about their interview questions that I've gotten from the other schools that I had. So I made a video about this last year. I'm gonna post the link down below. You can check it out and let me know if you still have other questions about it. Number 6 is, how many grad programs did you apply for, and how did you handle the stress? Stressful. It's not more like a stress, it's more like a feeling hopeless. I only applied actually to 2 schools. I've attended multiple info sessions, and the reason being only able to apply to 2 schools is that I didn't take the GRE. I signed up for it, but the month before I was scheduled to take it, I chickened out because I scheduled it a year or 2 years after my undergrad, and I promised that I was gonna go back to the Philippines after graduation and after I worked, because I had to save money. And so after 11 or 12 years of coming here and not being able to visit, I was so excited to go to the Philippines that I did not study for the GRE. I lost about half of the money that I paid, but yeah, but then the schools that I applied to, they don't take GRE just because, and most professors and people are saying too that it's not an accurate basis of your ability to thrive in OT school or in the OT field. It's more on your personality and your experiences and how well you can, be able to help others based on the knowledge that you'll pick up in OT school. And I'm not just justifying for me not taking the GRE, but I applied to 2 schools. When I was applying, there are 8 schools in California, but it took me 3 years, almost 3 years, two and a half something. But that's because after I got my bachelor's degree, I retook my prerequisite classes, my anatomy, physiology. I took abnormal psych because I have never taken abnormal psych. And then I also volunteered at hospitals and different places. I also worked and gained more experience to make sure that's what I wanted to do. So like what I mentioned above or earlier, I recommend you work first and volunteer and observe to make sure that this is the right path for you, because you don't want to waste money and realize in the middle of the program that this is not what you want to do, and by that time you'll have thousands and hundreds and thousands of student loans, and you don't want that. 7th question is that, what were your main factors that you were considering when you were choosing a school? So number 1 is accreditation. Make sure the school is fully accredited by the ACOTE, Accreditation Council of Occupational Therapy Education. And what I also look for is how long has that school had the program. So I don't want to go to schools that have new OT programs, because I don't know the credibility and the reliability and the validity sounds like research of the school, because we don't have the rate yet or the ranking for them. Also the location. So I didn't want to go out of state because I want to save as much money as I can. I know California is expensive, but then initially I was thinking of just driving to school. I applied to one in LA, which is a few minutes from where we live, but then I didn't get in there, and I got into somewhere an hour or at least 15 minutes away from where I live. But so I had to move out there for weekdays, and I go home on the weekends. And like being in a Filipino family, we have a strong family bond. I don't know I've been saying that I want to leave my parents' place my entire life, or since teenage years, but then I don't think if I'll be able to live by myself far away from them, at least not seeing them once a month or something. And school ranking. So I'm gonna include a link below of the schools ranked for California. I'm just gonna state you the top three, which is USC number one, Loma Linda University number 42, San Jose State University 40, oh, tied with Loma Linda 42. Well, this is not accurate. This is based on usnews.com, and sometimes it's biased according to, or based on who pays the research. But I kind of believe it, because I mean USC and Loma Linda, they've been here since 1900s, early 1900s. So I know if you can get into those two schools, that'll be awesome. It doesn't matter where you go, actually. If you go to out of states, that's fine if you want to go there. I mean, out of California, that's fine if you want to go there. It doesn't really matter. Even the OT mentors that I talk to, it doesn't matter where you graduate. It's just the name. It really depends on how you perform out there in the field. But the facilities are what make it different for us. Like what I mentioned, I go to a big university, and we have a gym, we have a market, we have student pavilion, a church, you know, all those fun stuff. And we have different buildings. You can work with other schools, allied health professionals, and yeah, we get to interact with other people. So if compared to a medical building or a school in a one building, if you consider school spirit, then I recommend you to go to universities that are pretty big. Question number 8 is, what is or are some advice that you would give me for my undergrad? Even you're still in a community college, take your classes seriously. Out of high school, I know some students or some kids, they want a taste of independence, and fun and parties, and there's nothing wrong with that. Social participation is a must as well in order for you to thrive mental health as well. But make sure you have to manage your time and your priorities. Don't go party without finishing your homework or your assignments, or if you have an exam the next day. I don't recommend going to parties. Also, I worked and went to school, so I didn't really, I attended some social gatherings and here and there, but then I didn't really go like every weekend party and stuff, because I worked. Like what I said earlier, I would leave 6 a.m., go to work at 8 a.m. to 12, and then go to school to 1 to 5 or 6, and then study, and then go home. So I didn't really have time to party. Back in community college though, I valued friendships, relationships, and extracurricular activities. I am so fond of clubs and organizations, which is awesome, but of course you have to prioritize your studies. You have to make sure that your academic standing or your status is not going to be jeopardized by you being a leader, or you know, or being active in the community or organizations. Back then we were part of the associate student organization and Filipino club, where I became president for about a year, and well, actually just one term. And then, but we're helping Black Student Union, Latino Student Union, Korean Bible Study and stuff. So, and I don't regret attending all those organizations. They're awesome. We're able to do fundraisings for people and victims of the typhoons in Philippines, tsunami in Japan, Haiti, earthquake, and so on and so forth. And I was able to develop long-lasting friendships, which is sad because I don't hang out with them anymore because of grad school. But it gives you experience and growth and develop your personality. So I'm not gonna stop you from doing all those social events and gatherings, clubs, organizations, parties. Just make sure to prioritize your, you know, your future, and you have to like make a list of priorities that you want to consider. The last question for this is, what are some clubs would you recommend me to get involved in Cal State? And Cal State Northridge, to be exact. I know you guys, I mentioned it in my previous videos where I went to school. I went to CSUN, same as Eva Longoria, and that's where they filmed Star Trek one time. And I suggest that you become a part of the kinesiology majors club, and if you can, be an officer. And also, if you can, take charge of some programs such as fundraisings, or I was the treasurer for KMC when I was in undergrad, for bachelor's, and also volunteer in programs. I recommend for a kinesiology major student and exercise science, participate in the 3 Wins Fitness program. Back then it was 100 Citizens campaign or program when we were in school, and I was leading. I was recommended to be a program director for one of the parks, and I was working with another co-leader, and basically we provide free exercises to the community. If you love what you do, it doesn't matter how long you work on it, and it's worth it. I really love the experience. You develop friends, mentors, advisors that are still friends right now, and yeah, you grow your network. Another thing is the Center of Achievement. If you can also be a staff in there. I was an intern, or at least I took an elective class. Yeah, it was an internship for 1 semester, and we basically provide programs, land and water-based programs similar to aquatic therapy, where we formulate exercises for individuals. Most of the individuals that are going there are in the geriatric population, but also we have younger folks who has physical disabilities, and that will help you gain experience and will make you comfortable with patient interaction and communication and professionalism. And one tip, very important, I know as an undergrad first year student, back then I don't really look at priorities and responsibilities as much as I look at them now. Even though you say that you're a volunteer, take it as if you're a job. It is a job for you, or a worker, because don't be late, show up on time. That's gonna be a whole entire another video, but do your research. Professionalism, basically. And yeah, so those are the frequently asked questions, what I usually get. And let me know if you have other additional questions. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram, and I will keep updated. Yeah, I love connecting with you guys out there. It's awesome to meet other OT students or potential OT students, and just to like chit chat with life, or art stuff, or OT stuff, music in general. So, alright, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys stay safe and well and healthy. And yeah, salamat!